And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. And once again, we have some active weather here in the state. The Panhandle area, especially central southern areas, getting in on some heavy snow today. And that'll continue at least through late tonight before beginning to diminish early on Wednesday morning. In areas around Wrangell, Petersburg, Cake, north of Klawock there, have the potential to receive the most snow. Then we're watching a system out approaching the western Bering Sea coming up along East Asia. A frontal system could bring some accumulating snow and moderating temperatures to a large part of the interior as we get into later Thursday, Friday, and early Saturday. But that'll be short-lived because the Arctic air and stronger winds will redevelop later this weekend and early next week as yet another high rebuilds over northwest Canada. We continue to see low pressure in the Gulf. And it's very likely the forecast models we look at for the next couple of weeks indicate that very cold conditions could persist into and maybe beyond Christmas time. So stay tuned to later forecast. In the meantime, Tok this morning, clear and frigid. Temperature early mid-afternoon, 30 below, but it was down to 51 below zero at the airport and Tok. Petersburg, snow and ice fog, 21 degrees. Places like Petersburg, Wrangell could pick up 5 to 9 inches of snow before it lets up here after midnight tonight into early on Wednesday morning. And up there in Tok, Katie Turk, one of our observers, was 53 below zero this morning, and you're going to see some more temperatures that cold or perhaps even a bit colder than that between now and Christmas time because the Arctic air and the hold of this cold weather is not going to go away anytime soon, aside from this little moderating trend with some snow coming into the interior later this week. So right now, as of this mid-afternoon Tuesday, we'll start with the cold weather advisories. Cold weather advisory is in effect for the Copper River Basin, Gulkana, Glen Allen through McCarthy, extends northward up into the 40-mile Gold Country, Eagle. And we expect these conditions to persist right up through Wednesday for sure, and for the Copper River Basin even into Friday. We have cold weather advisories here in orange for the northern Panhandle, Haines, Glacier Bay area, and then up here to the north above Skagway, White Pass there's an extreme cold warning just because the air temperatures there are much further down below zero with the potential for wind chills at dangerous levels of at least 50, even 60 below zero. And then here in through the Panhandle, around Petersburg, Wrangell, even down into Prince of Wales Island. But most of the snow today has been in this region, Petersburg, Wrangell, even up to toward Cake. And total snowfall in this area range from 5 to 9 inches as we get into early on Wednesday morning. So again, some areas here, this is specifically for Petersburg, Borough, and Wrangell. Again, snowfall amounts 5 to 8, and I would reckon some places could locally see as much as 9 or 10, just because the snow is really, the banded structure to the snow here in this region has lent for some pretty good accumulations during the daytime today. And that's all being caused by this moisture coming up from the North Pacific. There's a little low that's heading toward Dixon Entrance, and that's putting the southern half of the Panhandle, especially those areas around Wrangell and Petersburg, in the right spot there to get some heavier snowfall. Meanwhile, much of the interior enjoying clear skies, however, bitter cold. And as we look to the west, here's the frontal system now pushing into the western Bering. That is the one that's going to march east-northeastward and bring in moderating temperatures and some accumulating snow to the interior later this week. But late tonight into early Wednesday morning, 3 a.m., we have this low pressure just outside of Dixon Entrance with a little frontal boundary nudging northward. So within this area, the snow will still continue through this evening and through the early overnight before beginning to taper off on Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, high pressure over northwest Canada, over the Yukon, that's going to intensify into Thursday, building to 1055 or so millibars. Back to the west, a ridge of high pressure extends across the interior and then drops southward across the Bering Sea, and that front out to the west will make some progress during the day Wednesday. High pressure ridge still in place from the lower Bering up into the west coast and then across the Yukon River, length of the Yukon River Valley into northwest Canada. We have the one low sitting there in north end of Haida Gwaii, Dixon entrance. That'll continue eastward. Meanwhile, a little weak secondary low kind of takes shape behind, back from that low into the western Gulf. You're going to see the winds pick up again around the Susitna Valley, lower Mat-Su, around Willow, Palmer. They will not gust as strong as they did with the hurricane force windstorm that occurred there over the weekend. However, we could see some stronger outflow winds redevelop here, if not later Sunday, into early next week as the high gets reestablished once we get by this front. So on Thursday afternoon, high pressure around Dawson City will build up to 1053 millibars. So that's going to facilitate some very cold temperatures. Again, along the Elcan border at Tok and Northway could be around 50 below zero come Wednesday morning. And as we look to the west, this will spread this little bit of warmer air coming inland will create periods of light to moderate snow overspreading the interior starting Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. And by Friday, yes, just that little bit of warm air is all it takes to get that snow to precipitate out. But it's going to be short-lived, even though that'll help to moderate temperatures with the cloud cover and the push of moisture coming in. It's all going to just reset itself up here as we get into late Sunday and early next week. We'll see high pressure trying to rebuild over northwest Canada and skies clearing out with a reinforcing shot of cold air redeveloping over the interior. So Wednesday morning lows, look at this, 52 at Northway, 52 below zero. And again, it'll be around that cold at Tok. Other areas, much of the mainland below zero, even getting down near zero, Anchorage Bowl. We find readings single digits down there to through Juneau and into Wrangell, or not quite far as Wrangell to Petersburg, and then to the north below zero there, 5 below or so at Skagway. Temperatures down along the Alaska Peninsula are below freezing as well. As you get out toward the eastern Aleutians, you just have the milder water there of the Bering and North Pacific, so lows there near or just above freezing. Highs Wednesday afternoon, sub-zero, 40 below highs in the upper Tanana Valley, very cold. 30, 35 below highs there in through the Yukon Flats. So we look out to the west coast, the frontal system approaching. We have a high of 20 at Savunga, 32 at St. Paul, and then again, low temperatures Thursday morning, 40s and some lower 50s below zero, Yukon Flats, 40-mile gold country down into the upper Tanana Valley. Again, single digits above zero, Juneau down through Petersburg, a little below zero there. Skagway, maybe even toward Haines. And then as we look out toward the west, temperatures there, a little 14 at Savunga, 27 at St. Paul. And as we get into Thursday afternoon, notice the moderating temperatures that with the southerly flow and that push a little milder air coming into the west coast. That's all of a sudden causing temperatures to jump up near freezing there on St. Lawrence Island. And that's what's going to be coming inland with the light to moderate snow and moderating temperatures for as we go through Thursday night, Friday into Saturday. But it's not going to last long because, as I said, the whole thing's going to reset and we're going to have a similar pattern as to what we saw for the early part of this weekend. This is when you have this kind of temperature anomaly, this is mid-month, December 15th through the 19th. The solstice is on the 21st. And this is just showing where the greatest threat of much below normal temperatures are going to be, and it's right over the southern, southeastern mainland, northern panhandle. So again, more cold weather. This is generally a dry pattern when it sets up too for much of the mainland. And as you can see, the places that get in on the snow here mid-month and just beyond could see a little above normal precipitation in the panhandle, so that does not rule out some additional moderate to heavy snow at times if you can get a low come up like what happened today. But back here to the west for sure, it's going to be very dry and cold across much of the mainland, especially the southwest, along and west of the Alaska Range through the YK deltas. So this is a very cold and dry pattern, and as I said, there are indications this could continue right up on through the holidays. So we'll continue to watch that here over the next week or two as the situation unfolds and our forecast models can come into that time frame of resolution.